Welcome to the Profits in Pajamas podcast. I'm Danielle to Teach, or Coach Danny D, and I help women entrepreneurs and professionals to achieve their personal success stories that include joy, fulfillment, and balance. This is where we talk about how to build your business in a way that allows you to work with ease, be successful, and enjoy your life. My happy place is spending as much time in my PJs as humanly possible. And I want to help other women find their happy space while running profitable businesses or having a successful career. So get comfortable and let's dig in. Hello and welcome to the Profits in Pajamas podcast. I am your host, Coach Danny D, always here trying to help you find that space of joy, fulfillment, balance so you can live your best life right now and not have to wait, until the kids grow up or when you retire, all those things that we say we gonna do it then. Let's do it now. So I am excited to have our guest today. I'm gonna give her the formal introduction, but I also, when I've had the pleasure of meeting someone prior to, I also, like to add my own personal flair to it. So I first met Keante when I did, so y'all know, several years ago I did Monica Pierre's um Storymaker Academy. And that was a phenomenal experience. And the first cohort, we have remained tight and we come back every year to support the subsequent classes. And so that's how I first met Keante, and her speech was so powerful. Like, I just was sitting on the edge of my seat because I wanted to know more. I wanted to know more about her story, but she just delivered a powerful presentation about her story and about just, the triumph of like turning things around. Like, just because this is where you started, this doesn't have to be where you end. And we all have a story like that in us, like we all have a story that we can resonate with that. So I appreciate you for sharing your story because not everybody can get up on a stage and share their story, right? So I appreciate that. I also, if y'all are listening, you got a speaker sitting here. So I'm not going to dwell on that too much, but just, if you need somebody to come speak, you have someone sitting here with the capability to deliver, and she has so many different facets to her. So since then, we've had conversation. I've learned more about what she does and just get more excited. So I knew I had to have her here on the show. I wanted to bring her here for y'all to meet her. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit about her, and then we're just gonna jump right on in. So um, Keante is an accomplished and visionary business leader with over 15 years experience in staffing, workforce management, and government contracting. Founder and CEO of Crescent Career Consultants, a certified minority and women-owned staffing firm, specializes in providing tailored talent solutions for federal, state, and local government agencies, as well as private sector clients. She demonstrates expertise in business development, proposal writing, and executive level recruitment. And she has a proven track record of securing local, state, and federal contacts. She's committed to promoting diversity and inclusion through extensive work with we what's the acronym? Say it for me.
Oh, we bank.
We Bank
Hmm.
and WBC South. So Keante, welcome, welcome, welcome. Just in that bio alone, there's like so many different things that are crucial for business owners, especially women business owners. So welcome to the show, and I would love for you to share about your entrepreneurial journey. Like, how did you get to where you are right now?
Well, first off, thank you so much, Coach Danny D, for allowing me on your platform and for that wonderful introduction. That was beautiful. I Would have never thought that much of myself, but thank you so much. So, how I got started, so I'll tell you that I started my business in 2021. My background is actually in the medical field. By trade, I am a medical coder. So I decided during COVID, I'm just I don't know what to do right now. I'm working from home. I'm doing all this work for someone else, and I could basically do it for myself. So I decided to start a staffing firm because at that time, you had a lot of people working from home and a lot of companies were looking for people to go in. There was a lot of work that still needed to be done outside of being in the home side. So you still needed people to do janitorial work. You still needed people to go out at the fast food restaurants and things of that nature. So I thought that I would just start a staffing firm. And I thought that people were just going to come to me, but that wasn't the case.
I think we
So,
all start that way. Like we're like, I'm gonna put the sign up, come on in, and then we're like, okay, now I gotta go find the people.
right, right. So I'm thinking like, okay, well, I started the staffing firm. I hear a lot about these companies searching for people. They want employees to come in. They don't really want them to be home because they're needing them back in those spaces to get the economy pumping. So I started cold calling. I also started going to different networking events, thinking that I would find the right company, find the right person, and it didn't happen. So I was in the midst. I'm like, I'm just gonna give up. I'm gonna give up. But my husband told me something about government contracting. And when I came across it, like right now, I think they're using Sam. Not think. I know that they're using Sam.gov, but back then they were using a beta system. It was Beta Sam, and it was two separate systems, and it looked so complicated. So I was like, I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna worry about this because I don't understand it. It's too hard. So I didn't do it. I went back to cold calling. I actually had someone to tell me, "Can you stop calling me because, or take us off your list because." We don't want your services. So I'm like, oh my goodness, where do I start? So I stopped the cold calling and I decided to go back into the government contracting sector and just take a look back at it and see if I could just figure it out. So stumbling upon sam.gov again, knowing that they're not using this beta system, they actually simplified it. I was like, okay, well, I can do this. I can look for bids. So I started to familiarize myself with it, look around at it. And I decided that's not where I wanted to start either. Those contracts are a bit grander. I know that I didn't have the money for those type of $1 million contracts. So I said to myself, where should I start? So I started calling around, calling the local government, like the economic development here in Louisiana, and there are also free resources out here. So I'm like, okay, cool. This one young lady, she's like, well, there's going to be a class at Xavier. If you give me your information, I'll give you a call back and you can get started in this class. So I never heard from her. So I started reaching out to like Urban League and everything. And somebody was like, you just you can't give up. You just have to keep calling them. And I got a call back. I was assigned a mentor. I was able to get into their scale up program, and it was wonderful. And in the midst of that, I was assigned my mentor. And in the midst of that, I decided to look into state contracts,
Mm,
which is a lot. I'm not, which is a it is more simpler to understand, and also the funding, it's not going to be $1 million contract. You may get $1 million contract, but you don't have to bid on $1 million contract. You can
right.
small, something like 5,000, 10,000, and there's loan options that you can get also, and also there's something that's called factoring that you can do to get assistance with paying those contracts first, and then at the net 30 you're paid. So I won my first contract with LSU.
Go ahead.
Yes, and I tried to talk myself out of it. So I saw the solicitation online. I decided to go ahead and start seeking out for the role, looking for the accountants. I had a few people apply. There was this one young lady that I picked, and she was tremendous. She completed the project. I didn't have any issues with her. It was great. So I wound up with that project not using any loans. I funded it myself. It was a small contract. It was about $40,000. So I was able to pay her up front and wait the net 30 and collect uh
Mhm.
from my invoices from the LSU. And that was my first contract. And I just want anybody out there who's interested in doing government contracting, even if it's not government contracting, don't be afraid to just step out on faith because I would have never thought in a million years that I would be managing a contract for the state.
Yeah, like I love your story because there's so many points in there that I think people, especially starting out, or even if you've been at it for a while and you're trying to revamp, like that they need to um hear and focus on. So one, what I heard was you weren't afraid to just, put yourself out there, right? You were cold calling, you were, reaching out to different agencies. So just getting over that fear of putting yourself out there, like, because again, all of us start businesses and all of us think that, we're gonna start this and it's gonna just take off like gangbusters and the people gonna be knocking down the door. But really, you have to go and seek out those customers in the beginning. It's not um is it doesn't work like that. So, that's one myth. I think sometimes people get into entrepreneurship and they think, oh, well, I'm gonna just start the business and it's just gonna be great. It's you gotta work at it. You gotta work at it.
That is
I,
correct. It's correct.
I think another thing that you said was that just like sat with me where we have to think about it is sometimes you have to stretch yourself, right? Like like you didn't understand government contracting. My eyes glaze over every time I look at when you said sam.gov. I was like, I had a moment, I had a little flashback. I was like, I don't like it can be intimidating, but if it's something that you really want to pursue, then break it down and keep working at it. Um, I love that, the outcome that you push forward. And like you said, everything is not gonna be the $1 million contract, but start where you are and build from there. So I just think it's a beautiful um journey of how really it goes in business a lot of times is just being persistent. And I don't want to gloss over using the resources available as well. Like I know that I've always, found out about, different programs and things that are going on. And I can't say that I've taken advantage of every one of them, but I have been involved in a lot of them. And sometimes it's really sad when you look around the room and somebody's giving free resources and the room is mostly empty because people are not taking advantage of those resources. They're not seeking out those resources, but there a lot of, especially if you live in a city, there's more likely than not there is something there to benefit small businesses.
That's correct. That is correct. And I find that a lot too with a lot of the programs that I went through, um, where you don't see a lot of people in there because, sometimes, either it's they don't seek the information out or they're just afraid. A lot of the times I run into people that are just basically afraid to step out. But, like I always say, nothing worth having is easy to get. You have to work for everything that you know is going to be a huge prize. And that's just what it is. You have to put in the work, and you just got to put it in.
And you gotta I love how you said about, people being afraid. You have to understand that the person sitting next to you probably is afraid too. They might look more polished, or you may think that they have better credentials, or, whatever it is, but everybody is figuring it out.
Yeah.
Like, you might know one part and I might know another part, but everybody has um room for growth, development, learning. So don't allow who you think is in the room to intimidate you or to keep you from getting the resources that you need. And don't be afraid. You know how people always say this, but I don't think most people take it to heart that there's no stupid question, right? Don't be afraid to ask the question, because I can't tell you how many times I've been in a space and either I ask a question or somebody else asks a question, and half the room is like relieved because they all had the same question, but nobody wanted to be the person to ask it. So always be inquisitive.
Hmm. I agree with that 1000%, because you never know who you've helped in the room as well. Like you said, um, there might be somebody who is wanting to ask that question, but then you've asked it because you were bold. So I tell what I want to say to everybody, and what I tell people is, don't be afraid to be bold. Be that one that stands,
Hmm. Yeah,
you know.
definitely. Like sometimes you just have to just take the bullet, and if people looking at you crazy, oh well, you got what you needed out of the situation, right? Like the person, that was going to judge you, they was going to judge you anyway. It was,
Right,
what difference does it make? Like you need to get what you need out of situations so that you can elevate to the next level. So, yeah, don't be afraid of that. And I can think of times where I was sitting in a room and I'm like, oh, these people, like they know this and they know that, and so, it took a while for me to even get comfortable to do that. But like the way that you walk away from something when you take that initiative is totally different than if you just sit there with 1,000 questions and you got somebody that can answer the questions for you for free,
right, right,
and you sitting up here trying to figure it out. And as an entrepreneur, there's too many things to figure out. Like
right. You're absolutely right.
it's too many things. So take advantage of the people in their expertise and don't feel like you have to know every single thing. You know what you know. God gave you the gifts he gave you, and then he gave you the resources to fill in the gaps.
That's correct.
So you talked about government grants, I mean government contracts, and I know that that's a big thing that people um are trying to understand, trying to pursue. But I also know, like I said, I only went into Sam when the lady was showing me how to set up my account, and I was just like, okay, thank you and good day. Uh, what are some tips that you would give to people who are, looking into trying to get some government contracts? Like, where do they start?
Okay. So what I tell everybody, even about my current clients that I have now, so you want to start off with your state and local level, city and state first, because it's here where you are, and you have better insight versus going to sam.gov, and you're bidding on something that's in Oklahoma. You don't know the area. So I think that it'll be better for entrepreneurs just starting off to start at state and local level. And also because of funding. You may be able to get a small contract that you're able to fund yourself. So something like supplying sodas to Department of Corrections. You can basically probably just go ahead and fund that yourself. Just have whatever money you have off to the side, or you can get a small personal loan just to build yourself up. And that way you can get your name out there. You can have that on your capability statement that you've actually worked with local government, and that'll put you in the playing field for larger things. So anyone starting off, I would recommend that you start on your state and local level. It's going to be easier for you to understand. Like you know the municipality real well if you live in your state, your local state and city. So it'll definitely be beneficial for you to start off in your state, in your city.
Yeah, and that totally makes sense. Like something, you start small, learn it, build your reputation, and then you can go bigger. You because at that point you'll have a better reputation as well as the revenue.
Correct.
The
That's correct.
revenue. Yeah. So I think that that's great advice for people looking to do the government contracting. Um, the next thing I want to ask you, I'm gonna switch gears because I mean, because you're talented in so many ways. I want to make sure we address all of those things. So I know that you do career consulting, and I know that you are primarily matching the the staff with the companies. So first, I guess tell me a little bit more about that. Like how does that work? What are you providing? And I know that you said you do it on the level of government, but also private sector. So how does that look? What exactly would somebody be hiring you to do?
So most companies hire me because they don't have time to source candidates or look for high talent or good talent. So most of the time they're just hiring people and they're having a high turnover rate. So my job is to come in and to hire them someone who has the skills, someone who has the what's the word I'm looking for? Has the skills and also has the education level that they're looking for as well, to complete the job or that they're looking to or role they're looking to fill, and also to give them advice on how to keep those employees on their in their career or on those roles that they have. So also HR consulting as far as how can we get the morale up so that we can keep these employees in with these corporate companies, because 9 times out of 10 you may have companies who don't give the type of attention to the employees that they need, because and I hate to say this like this, but who wants to be awarded by just a pizza party?
You don't have to hate to say it because like it has been said and it's gonna be said again. Run me those coins real fast.
Right,
This
right.
pizza party and this company t-shirt ain't it.
Right. It's not. And what people want is fair wages. You don't
Hmm.
want I mean, you don't want to come on to a role that you're doing a lot of the work and you're getting paid crumbs. And that's what companies have to realize. People want fair wages. They want if they have this bachelor's degree, this master's degree, they want to get paid for it. They want,
Right.
even if it's entry level, you should still start off at whatever the entry level rate is. You don't want to sacrifice a great employee or a great talent just because you don't want to pay or you don't want to have the morale up. People won't want bonuses. They want to feel appreciated. They want to be awarded. So that's where I come in to just give advice to companies on what, the employee is looking for, what the candidate is looking for. If you want to keep good people, you definitely have to boost the morale in those companies. So that's where I come in as well. And because if we're going to provide top talent, we have to, want to keep those people. So that's definitely where I come in.
And that was, I mean, you segued right into the next thing I wanted to ask you about because what I was going to ask you was what are the biggest mistakes that you see on the side of the employer, right? Because a lot of our listeners are entrepreneurs, and as entrepreneurs they may not have all, gone through, the training, or have, most small businesses don't have HR in their business, right? And so they're not thinking, they're just trying to fill a role, but they're not thinking about that retention part. So what are some of, and we know the pay and the pizza part, we know that because we can all call that one off, but what are some of the things that you see that as employers is like, yeah, that might be the reason why you keep this role is like a revolving door.
A lot of things that I see is that the 9 times out of 10 the employee feels ignored, or that person feels ignored. So if they're asking not only for a raise, but sometimes uh and I know small companies can't afford it all the time, but even employees, they have a mental strains as well. So sometimes
Hmm.
to get some type of mental coaching or mental health day for your employees, kind of have something where the team goes out and have a team picnic, all that assists in retention. Just hearing having an open door policy, because some I'm going to say some management and some company owners, you might think that you just have this person in this role and you're paying them and that's all you need to do. But no, you still have to give that employee attention. You still have to ensure that their mental health is good. You still have to ensure that, even with their home life, you just want to ask questions, you know, and also have some type of merit system or reward system just to make them feel like they are accepted and they are a part of the team and they're a part of this corporate business.
I love that. I love that because yeah, I don't think that like managers always think about appreciation as an individual. Like you said, you give the pizza party where everybody had their pizza party. The person that don't do no work, the person that's
Right.
overworked, and everybody in between. That wasn't special for me. Like,
Right.
that wasn't highlighting what I may have done or contributed to the team, right? Um, one of the things you mentioned was like the stress part of it, right? And I'm all about like balance, and I think in the workplace a lot of times we don't think about what that looks like. Like how do we, make sure we're not overwhelming someone or burning out somebody who is, you got a great talent, but you've overloaded this person to where you've kind of negated the talent they bring to the table. So we don't think about that. Another thing um is is the environment chaotic?
Hmm.
Like that's a big one. I think people don't like realize that it's not them issue. Like you have not given them the clarity needed to do their job.
Right. And that happens a lot. And that's where, as an entrepreneur in a small business, you have to sit back and you have to look at your policies that you have in place. You need to make sure that it's streamlined. And that's where you may have to bring on an operations consultant or someone to help you, because a lot of the times, as entrepreneurs, we get busy and we don't have time to go through the policy book. We don't have time to try to streamline processes. So at that point, you have to sit back and look at, well, do I need to bring somebody in? And if you don't have the money, then you got the time, then you have to sit back and you have to look over your policies. You have to look over your procedures and your systems of you have to sit back to see if these is this system really working for me at this time. I'm expanding. Do I need to bring on a third party? Do I need to hire on an operations manager to help streamline this process so we can flow in the business, and ultimately that's what it boils down to, is having a business that flows in an environment where everybody is happy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to, slow that down a little bit for the audience because I don't want them to miss any piece of that. So, just in this last, little segment, we talked about HR, we've talked about operations, right? We've talked about management. So, all of that plus more, we know there are more parts to a successful organization. But what I'm saying, why I'm bringing that out is a lot of times we just think, okay, I'm the business owner, I'm gonna hire some people, and we just gonna go. And then we wonder why things aren't going the way that they're supposed to because we skipped over some of the steps that were important for this to work properly. And as small businesses, we can't always, you don't have all these departments. You do and you don't. You're responsible for all these departments whether you realize it or not, right? But we don't always have all of these departments, but then that is why it's important to reach out to consultants because they can fill that gap without you having to have them on payroll, right? You are paying them on the terms of their agreement. And sometimes we think, oh, well, I can't afford this service, but could you afford the 12 people that have been in this one position in, the last 2 years, right? Like,
Right.
are we thinking about all of these things? And I love also how you said about the time versus money, right? If you don't feel like you have the money to put towards it, one, let's start putting it on the side, right? Let's start collecting it up because we know we need it if we're going to continue to scale. But if you don't feel like you have it right now today, then you do need to take the time. And I see a lot of times people are going full fledged and I'm like, when are you going to stop?
Well,
Cause like you're going full fledged, but do we know if we're going in the right direction? Like so when are we gonna stop, take a step back? And sometimes that means slowing down and then mapping out where we're going so that it's less chaotic. It's more, because I've seen both when I was working, as I work with entrepreneurs, I've seen where a person came in and that person was the perfect person, but the environment drove that person out the door.
I see that a lot too. Because who wants to work in a hostile environment? You're at work more than you're at home. I'm gonna say like 80% you're at work. You're with people, who you don't really know. So, the best thing to do is to try to get along. But when that becomes an issue and it becomes hostile and it affects your mental health, even outside of work, then yes, I can understand someone wanting to leave. And that's when we have to sit back and we have to realize, okay, what's going on? Let's try to fix this issue. Let's try to fix this problem to ensure that we retain all of our great talent that we had. And it just comes down to, just looking into your processes, looking into your procedures, going through your systems, seeing what works the best, seeing, what just looking over everything, making sure that you're making it a great environment for people to thrive. Because if they thrive and they excel, then you thrive and you excel and you win as a business.
Yeah,
So that's it.
I love that. Yeah, we have to take that accountability. Like, did I do everything that I could to make this person successful? Right. Um, so I'm gonna flip the script. On the other side, what are some of the mistakes that you see people making in the hiring process?
In the hiring process, what I see a lot, and that's from like from the employer side or the employee side.
from the employer side. Like, we talked about you got the talent and the environment is not right. What are you seeing people doing where they're getting a mismatch of they're putting the wrong person in the role?
Okay. So a lot of the times it's deadlines. I see people wanting to get um as many employees as they can or try and get somebody to fill this role because it needs to be filled immediately. So 9 times out of 10, they're just wanting to get someone in, not worried about their skill set. Um, and I understand training on the job, but if it's something that needs some detailed experience, you don't want to get someone that's entry level. You want to get somebody that's well equipped and experienced and has the education level to complete the job. So a lot of the time, what you get is employers wanting to just fill the role or not having enough time to go ahead and really vet the right candidate. So they wind up getting someone who's not experienced for that position.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you sitting up there like, wait, hold up. Like you said, you knew how. Because a lot of times, I mean, because sometimes people their resume look real good till you get them in the space, and it's just not a good fit. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that goes to the vetting. So when you get them in and you ask the right questions and if they're not matching it up, then that's and it all boils down to also asking the right questions, like you said, having the right questions for the prospect candidate, ensuring that they can definitely deliver on the role that you have.
and I'm gonna throw this out there because I've seen this a lot of times, especially with my small business owners. Clearly defining the role.
Hmm.
A lot of times it's like I need a person to do what
Right.
and how. And like it's just like that you need help because you can't do it anymore. But like if you're not clearly defining the role for yourself first, then how are you going to know when somebody's a good fit for that role?
Yeah, that can be a huge hang up too. So when you're out here and you're seeking for the roles that you like to fill, say for instance, you're looking for a receptionist. You want to ensure that the job description matches what you're looking for and what you want in a receptionist because a receptionist for a dental office may look different. Well, it will look different than a receptionist for a legal firm.
Right.
So you have to make sure that when you're putting those job descriptions out, that they're matching your specific um, need, what you're looking for.
Yeah. 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 I think that, I'm just gonna make a blanket statement. Hire somebody.
Yes.
Preferably Keante, because she here right now. And she's, you've met her, she good people. But the reason why I say that is because a lot of times we want to try to take on every role as the business owner. And I think, sometimes it's ego, sometimes it's, money. I think we think we're saving money by not hiring people to do things. But at the end of the day, we end up losing money. One, because, time is money, right? And the time is going to take me to try to figure out what you already know is like that's just wasted time. But two, you want it done correctly, right? So I may be able to figure it out ish. um but that doesn't mean that I'm doing it correctly, and it doesn't mean that I then have the time to take on that other role. Like, we're already wearing too many hats. It's time to hand those hats off to other people. That's part of the reason why I, have guests come on here because I want you to see there are people out there that do the thing that you've been struggling with, to get done. And they're good people out there, right? Because we all know somebody that does a thing, and we may have like the trust issues and all of that stuff like that, and you get the opportunity to get to know this person and know what they're capable of, but also know that their demeanor, right? So let's start, as we are wrapping up this year, coming into the next one, let's start being more mindful about putting the right people in place, not just our employees, but our consultants, our larger network, so that we can move forward in a better way. Because I, I, I think one of the things that I hear the most is complaints about staffing and hiring. And those of you that know me well know that I'm very honest in the sense that, like, if you're wrong, I'm gonna tell you you're wrong. So I'm not gonna uphold you in, oh, it's so hard to find good people and blah blah da 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 da. I mean, yes, it is, there are some people that are, unicorns out there. Like, I get that. I totally get that. But that doesn't mean that there aren't other people out there. There's usually some of the things, mistakes that we talked about are usually at play if you are struggling with either hiring or retention. Like, it's usually not just that everybody in the world don't want work and, yada, 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 yada.
Right. I agree with that.
Like, we have to hold ourselves accountable.
Yes.
And, like, I had a client once, and she was talking to me about um she had this great lady that was like helping her out, and the lady was like helping her out for little or nothing with her business. And she starts telling me about how it was running, and I was just like, so that lady gonna quit?
Yeah.
And she said, why you say that? And I said, because you operate in a very different way than she does. And you keep pulling her from one project to another to another. And that is not how she functions.
Hmm.
She needs clarity and she needs closure. So when you pull her from one thing, she's not getting the sense of completion and accomplishment, which is important to her. And you're not seeing that. And so after a while, she's going to get frustrated because she's going to feel like she's not succeeding, and she gonna leave. But nobody had ever sat there and told her that before, and she didn't see anything wrong with like how she was moving. I'm like, I'm just telling you, if you think that she is great and you think that she's amazing, let her do what she's doing and leave her alone.
Hmm. Yeah. That's great advice to that. It
Yeah.
definitely is. Because what you don't want, especially if you have, great talent and you have great people working for you, you don't want to do that because what you don't want to do is also confuse things. Have them working on one project and then strip them from that, then they're working on this, and then, well, did this project end, or does it have a deadline, or are you bringing me back to this project, but I'm working on this one, and that just creates a whole bunch of confusion. So if you have somebody that's really great, you definitely want to keep them, and you definitely don't want to pull them around and have them, doing more than one assignment. It just confuses things. So that was great advice.
Yeah, I was stressed out listening to her talk. I was like, girl, if you take one more turn, like, cause I'm sitting there like, oh my goodness, if you take one more turn, like, sit still first of all, like, but we have to understand, like, there's a lot of, personality, differences, and what makes a person tick, right? Like, I can remember like years ago, my old boss, he was like trying to, rally the troops, and he had this meeting or whatever. And he had like a, internal staff, and then he had like a external sales staff, and he's a sales guy, right? So he gives this big speech and he's like, whatever. And after he was done, I was like, don't ever do that again. Because I'm like, you just deflated the entire internal staff. That was a great, great speech for salespeople,
Mm,
but it was not for these people. And now I got to undo
mm,
what you just did because these people are motivated by different things.
right.
But I mean, to the listeners, I hope that you could hear, like, just in us casually talking about this, the complexities to it all. Get you somebody that knows. Get you somebody that knows and understands all of that, because again, you're trying to learn someone else's specialized field on a surface level and then implement it and then grow your business accordingly. So reach out, get the information so that you can, feel, confident that what you're building is solid. So I don't want to leave without like you. Is there anything else that you want to like touch on? Because I mean, again, I keep looking back at your like intro and I'm like, there's so many areas. Is there something that you want to touch on that we didn't touch on that you really want to share with the audience?
I think we touched everything. My my major thing, or I'm gonna say, or my major oh my God, I can't get it out. But what I really wanted to get out there was actually about the government contracting, because you have a lot of small businesses who are looking to scale and are looking to grow and get revenue. And sometimes it's like you said, just starting up, you're not going to have people just come up to you and come out to you. You have to get out there, and you have to start somewhere. And I personally think that government contracting is a great place to start, because it's public sector. They're putting it out there for you, and you can look into it as you go. And when you're comfortable, you can go ahead and start, with your local and state government, as I stated before. And hey, you might not win the first time, but I didn't win the first time. Like I said, I looked around. It took me a few years, because it was like I thought it was complicated, but don't give up, and don't be afraid to just step out on faith. Just get into it, whatever it may be. If it's not government contracting, if it's HR, if it's operations, if it's just starting a food catering company. Um, don't be afraid, and also look into those free resources, as I stated. Like I said, if you don't have the money, you definitely have the time to seek into those free resources like Urban League. Louisiana Economic Development is one of them. There's all kinds of programs out here with the SBA. So don't be afraid to look for those free resources out here. And if they don't get back with you immediately, because they're busy, they're servicing millions of clients. So definitely don't be afraid to reach back out to them if you don't hear from them.
I think that that's great information, especially like I know I've heard a lot of people when I bring up the SBA, a lot of people say, well, like you said, they haven't heard back or they had a bad experience. And um to that I want to say, one, you got to understand that this is like a huge government agency, right? It's not going to have the same feel as, maybe not to say, I mean, the Urban League is huge as well, but they have a little more personal feel to them. You also have some smaller like incubator programs that are going to have a little more personal touch. But don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You know, like there so many like every day I get at least 10 emails about different webinars and trainings and different things like that hosted by SBA. And I think as a more established business owner looking backwards, right? I definitely feel like sometimes when we're just getting in, we don't realize that we're not as far along as we think, if that makes sense. So sometimes when we're sitting in those, consultations or one-on-ones and, we are still more in the concept phase than we want to believe, right?
Yes,
And so then we feel like, well, this person don't understand, but maybe you don't all the way understand yet either. Like if we're being fair, you may not feel like that at the moment. But I just can remember looking back, feeling like, well, they, either feeling dismissed or like overwhelmed or whatever it is. But sometimes we're still developing and we don't realize it, and we think that we're like, well, I got a logo, I got it is, I'm ready, and there's still more parts and pieces that we need to pull together to really be ready. So understand sometimes you're going to walk into spaces that seem a little bit over your head, but just circle back, keep working and circle back, and you may realize, hey, oh wait, now that makes sense.
right, right.
Like don't give up, don't ever give up, don't let anybody discourage you, but also understand that sometimes there's just more growth to happen.
Yes. And I'm still growing, you know.
No, I
Still
mean, I feel like everybody should be growing every day. Like that's just, I always will consider myself a learner, and
hmm
I always feel like I'm on a growth journey. Like every milestone you hit is just another opportunity to continue to grow.
that's true. That is so true.
And I think when you think like that, it makes things a lot easier, because I think when you think you're supposed to know it all, there's this kind of like facade, and then you get into the imposter syndrome, all this other
Yeah.
stuff. Whereas like when you just like, you know what? I woke up today and I'm a conquer today, and and you don't put all of those expectations out there of what you should be like, and just allow yourself to grow and to learn. I think that's just the best way to navigate.
Agree 1000% on that as well. Because I mean, there's so much out here, and so much out here and so much to learn, so much money to get.
Right, right,
And you just have to be, you know, take those thoughts, take that imposter syndrome out of your head. And I know it's easier said than done because, I've been in that situation. Sometimes I can still feel it coming on myself. So you just go ahead, you just put your feet out there, just get your feet wet and go to those local based communities like Urban League, like I said, economic development. They're free, they're out there. And like, if they don't reach back out to you, like I said, just keep trying them. I'll try to go to something else. There's so many resources, like you said, those webinars, so many resources out here. Just try and take advantage of all of them.
right, right. And I would be remiss without saying this, because this is just how I operate. Take action. So, because we have a habit of we want to sign up for all the things and do all the classes and do all the things, and we got notebooks and notebooks and notebooks filled with stuff that we haven't executed. So, you know, learn a thing, do a thing. Learn a thing, do a thing. It doesn't have to be perfect, it doesn't have to be finished, but just make sure that you're tying action to what you're learning, so that you're not just sitting there with a brain full of information and then feeling analysis paralysis. So I definitely want to thank you for everything that you've shared today. Like everything. I know I'm probably gonna have to have you come back and we're gonna break down some more stuff because I really you're multifaceted. Like you're multifaceted and I'm glad that you shared this piece to get everybody started. So hopefully, people will go out there and at least start researching, government contracting at their at your local level. Let's start local. We're gonna start there. Get signed up for the systems as well. Like I know I'm, signed up for like the city and the state and stuff like that. So get signed up for the systems because they will send you emails in your category. Like you don't even have to go looking for them. They'll be like, "Hey, we got a such and such happening." So thank you for that. I'm gonna jump into our wrap up questions. So my first question is, what are your favorite pair of pajamas?
My favorite pair of pajamas, I'm actually wearing them now. They're like some little pajamas that I got from, I think, I don't know where I got these from, or either a gift. You know what? I believe I got them as a gift. And they're so comfortable. They're like real soft. And I think I wore them to the hospital with my when I had my baby in 2023. So
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Now you said about the babies. Now I know how many you have? Five?
Six. I have six.
Six.
Yes. So my oldest is 16 and my youngest is 1. So I'm all in between there.
All of the ages.
All of the ages, yeah.
Yes, girl. I'm a one and done,
Yeah.
but I admire you. Okay, so finish this sentence for me. My time freedom allows me to.
So my time freedom allows me to be flexible. So I have 6 kids, so I most definitely have to be flexible. I have a son who plays violin. I have a son who's in preschool. I have a daughter's cheer. Like so I'm all over the place. So I definitely need my time to be flexible. And I know that's most important for several entrepreneurs out here. So yes,
Yeah, I
I
love
love that
that.
flexibility and the freedom.
I love that. I love that. Especially like, yeah, to me it's about family. It's about being able to like be there, see the moments. Like sometimes you don't, even when you are an involved parent, sometimes you don't realize like the stuff that you miss
Yeah,
when you don't have that free time. And you're like, wait, like, oh, I know I remember my son with after school pickup. Like when I was working, I picked him up from aftercare, right? But then once I quit my job and went in my business full time, I could pick him up when school got out.
right.
The conversation in the car was different when he just got out of school versus after he'd been in aftercare and we all tired and nobody wants to talk to anybody, so it's those little things that you don't always realize. What would be the best advice you would give to someone seeking the profits in pajamas lifestyle?
The best advice I can give someone is that because what I thought, and I'll piggyback off of, it's sort of like the same question from the first one. Well, when I work for myself, I thought that, oh, it's going to be easier. Oh, I want everyone to know that it's not easier. It is flexible, but you are still going to have to put in the work. So the advice I want to give to everyone out there is to definitely go ahead and put some time off to the side to complete the work necessary for your business, and not just get caught up in, oh, I have the freedom. Um,
Mm,
because you do, and I'm just going to speak from experience where I tend like I've gotten caught up in the freedom and I tend to miss out on things that I have to complete within my business. So definitely schedule in time, proper time, for you to complete the things that need to be done in your business.
I like that. I like that because it's a different spin on it. And I've, seen that recently, like where I'm like, ooh, like that is like That might be a little, like, because we talk about balance. Maybe we swung the pendulum too far in the other direction, right? And then now we're not um handling our responsibilities.
Mhm.
So I love that. Like, yeah, it's kind of like, hurry up and do your homework so you could go out and play. Like
Right.
I love that. All right. So is there anything that you want to share with the audience that you're working on or that you would like them to get involved in, or just how can they stay in touch with you?
So yeah, I'm going to be working on a government contracting webinar. Um,
Mm.
I had I had plans on doing it. It was 2024, but I just had some things come up, especially with me and just having a baby the year prior. Um, so I'm gonna go ahead and I postponed it. I'm gonna go ahead and, revisit that and have that come back up. The date hasn't been determined yet. So I will have that information out soon. But in the meantime, they can visit my website at www.crescentcareerconsultants.com. I also have outside of seeking or looking for companies or companies looking to hire my HR consultant services, there are small business services that I offer, such as um, assistance with government contracting and assistance with certifications and things of that nature. So they can find that on the, I think it's, which section is it? And I'm not on my website right now, I'm sorry, but it's going to be under the services. So if
Okay.
you, it'll be under the services or clients and yeah, that should
Yeah,
be under.
and we can when we get ready to post everything, we'll put the correct links in the show notes, y'all, so y'all can just go directly to those different areas. So we'll have that in the show notes. But I can't wait to get the date for the contracting webinar. I think that's gonna be amazing. Um but also the services, the other services that you provide, those are services a lot of times that we need. Um, Getting those certifications as, women owned and minority owned, having somebody walk you through that process is invaluable. I know I had started the process at some point and, life was life in that moment, and I don't think I ever finished it. So I may be reaching out to you to continue that process. But I do remember like getting to a point and I'm like, what? Like, I'm getting like email. I'm like, "Well, you want what now? Like, I have given you my whole life and soul." And
Yeah,
so having somebody walk you through that process is invaluable. So, um, y'all stay in touch. Y'all know I only bring people to you that, God sends to me. So, understand that I, even without trying, like, it's funny to me how similar all of the guests are in how they work with their clients. Like women that have never met each other, sometimes that I've never met, but is the same sentiment and care for their clients. Like, I'm not attracted to the money grab vibe, right? So I need to know that, you're providing that care that goes along with, I mean, y'all gonna have to swipe the card, but you're gonna get care and love in the process. So I'm excited about everything that you have coming up, and we'll definitely share everything in the show notes. I want to thank you again for being here and giving us your time and your wisdom. And I want to thank the audience for being here and just absorbing it all. I hope that you guys take action off of some of the things that you have heard. And if something resonated with you, make sure you let us know. Let us know what thing that you did. We love to celebrate that you took action from something that you heard on a podcast.
thank you so much, Coach Danny D, for having me. It's definitely been a privilege, and you are wonderful.
Oh,
I can't wait to come back. Like you inspired me. I saw you on I think it was Monica's one of her on her page. It was an interview with her and you stuck with me from there. So thank you again and I look forward to our uh future talks on the podcast. Thank you so much.
all right. Now you're gonna make me ugly cry. So we're gonna have to wrap this up, y'all. We gonna have to wrap this up. All right. Thank you guys for listening, and I will see you guys next week. Thanks for listening to the Profits in Pajamas podcast. I hope you got some great tips to start working with these. Want to stay connected? Follow me at Your Workflow on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. For more information about creating balance in your life, register for my upcoming calendar detox challenge at CoachDanniD.com. Don't forget to subscribe, join the community, and book a call to find the workflow program that best fits your needs.